So what movement occur in sternoclavicular joint? That is, so in sternoclavicular joint, elevation movement occur, that is elevation of clavicle. In acromioclavicular joint, upward rotation of scapula. Third principle is clavicle retracts 15 degree from its resting position, that is 20 degree. 20 degree retracted position. Clear? These things we already discussed in the morning, all these things we discussed. Okay. And why? What is the purpose of clavicle retraction? To keep the scapula in optimal position. Fourth principle. Scapula, it tilts posteriorly and externally rotates. Clear? Scapula, what is resting position of scapula? It is anteriorly tilted and internally rotated. This is resting position of the scapula. So from anteriorly rotated position, it posteriorly tilt during abduction. And from internally rotated position, it externally rotate. So we discussed all these things. What is the purpose of these two movements? To preserve the volume of subacromial space and to prevent the impingement. So these are the four principles we discussed in the morning. So now, coming to the axis of rotation of scapular rotation. Listen carefully. Axis of rotation of scapular upward rotation. So what is the axis? Where the axis passes through. Clear? The axis, it passes through this is the axis for rotation of scapula. Clear? It's an oblique axis and it passes through the costoclavicular ligament. It passes through the in first class. When we studied the sternoclavicular joint, we studied this. Here the axis passes through the costoclavicular ligament. So where is the costoclavicular ligament? Okay. This is sternum. This is clavicle. And this is manubrium. This is cartilage. This is cartilage. This one is cartilage. First costal cartilage. This is first rib. Clear? So you know the ligament. Where is the ligament? Here is the ligament. What is the name of the ligament? It is costoclavicular ligament. Clear? So the axis, it passes through the, here is the axis. This is the axis. Clear? So the axis passes through. This is the axis where the rotation of the scapula occurs. Clear? It's a single line. So this is the axis. You can see the same axis in this diagram. Here. This is posterior view. What you are seeing is the posterior view. From anterior, the axis it passes through like this. And here is the ligament, costoclavicular ligament. This is first rib, second rib. Okay. So this is the axis you are going to study now. Clear? So what is this? This axis is called as oblique axis. Clear? And this axis is not fixed. Listen carefully. This axis is not fixed throughout the rotation of the scapula. Upward rotation of the scapula. You know, the scapula, it rotates how many degrees? 50 degrees. Clear? The scapula, it rotates 60 degree in 180 degree abduction. Already we discussed. So this 60 degree where it occurs? 30 degree it occurs in sternoclavicular, 30 degree it occurs in acromioclavicular. So 30 degree it occurs in this joint, and 30 degrees it occurs in this joint, acromioclavicular joint. Clear? So where is the axis? So axis is in the beginning of the range. The axis will pass somewhere here. What is this point? This is I had mentioned here. You can see here, this point. This point. Initially, the axis, it passes like this. I think you are clear. Initially, during the 60 degrees, you see from 0 to 20 degrees, the axis is passing through the one second, I'll explain from this. Scapular upward rotation occurs around an oblique apiaxis passing through costoclavicular ligament. This I have explained now, just now. The axis is oblique. The axis is oblique and it passes through the costoclavicular ligament. Axis projects backward through the root of the scapular spine. So where is the root of the scapular spine? This is called root of the scapular spine. Here. So axis, it passes through the costoclavicular ligament and it passes through the root. This area is called as a root. Clear? You might have studied in the anatomy. This area. So in this diagram, I had mentioned here, this area. Clear? So the axis, it projects backwards through the root of the scapular spine. In the beginning, I am talking in the beginning of the scapular rotation. As the elevation of the arm progresses, scapulothoracic axis of rotation gradually shift laterally, reaching acromioclavicular joint. You see, gradually the axis is shifted laterally. First here, axis is here. Second axis is here, somewhere here. Third it is here, and fourth it is here. As the scapula is rotating, the axis, it changes. Clear? Because this is not true anatomic joint. This is a functional joint. If it is anatomic joint, then the axis will be fixed. Because it is functional joint, the axis, it moves from medial to lateral, that is from as the arm progresses, the scapulothoracic axis of rotation gradually shift laterally, reaching the acromioclavicular joint. Are you clear with this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, this shift in the axis of rotation happens. Why? Because we already know that the motion it occurs in two joints. One is scapulothoracic motion, other is acromioclavicular motion. Because the movement is occurring in both the joint, axis should not be fixed. Because the movement is occurring in both the joint, initially the axis should pass through the scapulothoracic joint, clear, and then it should pass through the acromioclavicular joint. That is why the axis is not fixed. Clear? Now, when the axis is, now listen carefully, when the axis is near the root of the scapular spine, when the axis is near root of the scapular spine, which one? That is this one. And again, when the axis is near the root of the spine, when the axis is near the root of the spine, scapulothoracic rotation, it occurs as a primary function of sternoclavicular joint. Clear? When the axis is somewhere here, that is when the axis is passing like this, then movement is occurring in sternoclavicular joint. That is rotation, it occurs in this joint, sternoclavicular joint. When the axis is near the root of the spine, the rotation movement occurs in sternoclavicular joint. Okay. Now, next, when the axis is somewhere here, when the axis is near the acromion, next point you read. When the axis of the scapular upward rotation is at the acromioclavicular joint. Where is acrom? That is fourth point. Fourth means here. This is 4 number. When the axis is at acromioclavicular joint, then upward rotation of the scapula occurs as a part of acromioclavicular joint. I think you are clear. In the beginning, the axis is passing through the root of the spine. Clear? So, the movement will occur. That is rotation movement. I have told rotation movement will occur in both the joints. Joint number 1, joint 1 and joint 2. Scapulothoracic joint and acromioclavicular joint. When the axis pass through the root of the spine, then predominantly the movement is occurring in sternoclavicular joint. When the axis is passing through the acromioclavicular joint, the rotation movement predominantly occurs in the acromioclavicular joint. Did you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you read this sentence again. When the axis is near the root of the scapular spine, rotation, that is scapulothoracic motion. What is the scapulothoracic motion? That is rotation, upward rotation. Upward rotation is a primary function of sternoclavicular joint. When the axis is near the root. Now, when the axis of rotation is at the acromioclavicular joint, then acromioclavicular joint motion predominates. That is upward rotation, it occurs in acromioclavicular joint. Clear? Now, third point. When the axis of scapular upward rotation is intermediate position, that is 3 and 4. When the axis from 0 to 60 somewhere around 50 to 60 degree, the rotation will occur in this joint. Here. So from 0 to 20, the rotation will occur at this joint, sternoclavicular joint. So in between, when the axis is lying and in the position 2 and 3, the rotation, upward rotation will occur in both sternoclavicular joint and acromioclavicular joint. Are you clear? During initial 0 to 20 degree, upward rotation will occur in sternoclavicular joint. Around 40 to 60 degree of movement, upward rotation will occur in acromioclavicular joint. 20 to 40, that is in between, upward rotation will occur both in sternoclavicular and acromioclavicular. Here the axis will in the root of the spine. That is position number 1. And here the axis will pass through the acromioclavicular joint. That is position number 4. I am talking in this diagram. Position number 1, 2, 3, I am talking in this diagram. Clear? And in between, when the upward rotation, it occurs in both acromioclavicular joint and sternoclavicular joint. That is position number 2 and 3. What is this position? Position of axis. This is axis position. Clear? Are you clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is more defined, well defined, this diagram. If you carefully see this diagram, this picture is taken from Newman, kinesiology Newman. Here you see what is total 180 degree. From here to here it is 180 degree. Clear? So here the range of motion is increasing, shoulder abduction. And here you see here you can see the motion of, you see one line, this line represent sternoclavicular joint movement, and dotted line represent acromioclavicular joint movement. Clear? So in 90 degree range of motion, up to 90 degree, listen carefully, you see in which joint the range of motion is high. Which joint the range of motion is high?
Sternoclavicular.
This is sternoclavicular joint. And here you see this is acromioclavicular joint. Clear? So in first 90 degree abduction, clear? How many degrees of acromioclavicular joint occurred? 10 degrees. Clear? And how many degrees of sternoclavicular joint occurs? It is 20 degrees, approximately 20 degrees. So 20 plus 10, it is 30 degrees. 30 degree of movement occurred in first 90 degree. in first 90 degree, you can see here, listen carefully, this is 90 degree abduction. In first 90 degree abduction, total upward rotation is 30 degree. Clear? And this total upward rotation 30 degree, 20 degree it occurred in sternoclavicular joint and 10 degree occurred in acromioclavicular joint. Are you clear what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
In first 90 degrees, in first 90 degree abduction, 30 degree is the contribution of scapulothoracic joint. That is, upward rotation is 30 degree in first 90 degree. Out of this 30 degree of scapula is rotated 30 degree. Clear? When the shoulder is abducted 90 degree, scapula is rotated 30 degree. So, a 30 degree range of motion where it occurred. Clear? 20 degree it occurred in sternoclavicular joint, sternoclavicular joint, and 10 degree motion it occurs in acromioclavicular joint. So, from this it is clear that in the beginning range of motion, in which joint the range of motion is higher? Rotation. Sternoclavicular or
Acromioclavicular.
sternoclavicular? Yes.
Acro.
Sternoclavicular joint, the range of motion is greater. That is rotation of sternoclavicular joint, rotation of scapulothoracic joint at sternoclavicular joint is higher. Why? Because the position of the axis is root of the spine. We already discussed from this point, when the axis is near the root of the scapular spine, scapulothoracic motion is primarily the function of sternoclavicular joint. That is why 20 degree of range of motion occurred in the sternoclavicular joint in the beginning. Now you see second diagram here, this portion. So next 90 degree, that is from here to here, now the axis is shifted to number 4, 3 and 4. Here the axis is here 1 and 2. Clear? And now the axis is shifted to 3 and 4. Clear? So if the axis is if the axis is shifted to 3 and 4, that is here 3 and 4, now the movement is predominated in acromioclavicular joint. Sternoclavicular joint contribution now is less. Acromioclavicular joint contribution is high for rotation. I am talking for rotation. Now you see, acromioclavicular joint contribution is getting high. You see it's going up. And sternoclavicular contribution is fixed. It is fixed. Acromioclavicular joint motion is predominating. See, it is going high. It is going high, acromioclavicular joint. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So in short, if you want to write, in the beginning, that is in 90 degree, 0 to 90 degree range of motion, during 0 to 90 degree range of motion, 30 plus 60. 30 is scapulothoracic, 60 is glenohumeral. Among this 30 degree, you know the movement occurs both in sternoclavicular joint and acromioclavicular joint. Clear? And in sternoclavicular joint, approximately range will be 20 degree. In acromioclavicular joint, approximately the range will be 10 degree. Clear? So how will you write concluding statement? 180 degree, 90 degree range of motion, 90 degree range of motion, it is 20 plus 10 plus 60. That is sternoclavicular 20, acromioclavicular 10, glenohumeral 60. This is the beginning, first 90 degree. Clear? Why? Because why sternoclavicular range of motion is high? Because the axis is passing through the root of the spine. From costoclavicular ligament anteriorly to posteriorly root of the spine. Clear? Okay. Now second, next 90 degree of abduction, that is this point, from 90 degree to 180 degree. From 90 degree to 180 degree, what happens? Again, what is movement is 30 degree is scapulothoracic and 60 degree is glenohumeral. Glenohumeral. So now this scapulothoracic joint movement will occur. Now it will be reversed. What is previous? Sternoclavicular is 20, acromioclavicular is 10. But now sternoclavicular will be 10. Approximately, this is not fixed. I am talking approximate. And acromioclavicular joint will be 20. So now how you can write? 90 degree can be splitted into 10 plus 20 plus 60. What is 10? Sternoclavicular plus acromioclavicular plus glenohumeral. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So now last part of the lecture, fifth kinematic principle. So clavicle, it rotates posteriorly around its long axis. Now you have to listen more clearly. Clavicle, it rotates posteriorly. This is final principle. Around its own long axis. So clavicle rotation, it occurs in which joint? It is a primary motion of sternoclavicular joint. Clavicle rotates posteriorly around its own long axis. You see this diagram. Clavicle, it rotates. Clavicle rotates posteriorly. Clavicle, it rotates posteriorly around long axis, which is passing through the long axis of the clavicle. So this movement occurs in sternoclavicular joint. This is last principle. So as the elevation progress, the clavicle rotates posteriorly. This we have discussed already when we studied sternoclavicular joint. From neutral position, the clavicle will rotate posterior. And what is anterior rotation? Anterior rotation is from posteriorly rotated position to neutral position is called as an anterior rotation. I think you remember this point. We have discussed. Clear? Clavicle rotates posteriorly around its own long axis as one of the primary sternoclavicular motion. So how much rotation occurs? It rotates 20 to 35 degrees. Posterior rotation is 20 to 35 degrees. Now again, this rotation is based on combination of multi-kinematic or multi-joint kinematic and force transferred from muscles to ligaments. Here it is, you have to listen carefully, then only you will understand this point. 20 to 35 degree rotation occurs. So now you see this point. Again, this is taken from Newman, Kinesiology Newman book. You go through this diagram. This is neutral position. Clear? This is neutral position, and this is scapula is upwardly rotated position. Clear? So what you can see from these two diagrams, you can see that coracoclavicular ligament is slack or lax. Coracoclavicular ligament is, you see, it is lax. Clear? But here you see the coracoclavicular ligament is taut. Now this you should note. In neutral position and rotated position, what happens? The ligament is, first it is lax, next it is taut. Now you come to this point. Where is coracoclavicular ligament? This is coracoclavicular ligament. In this diagram, you see where is coracoclavicular ligament. Here. This is coracoid process, and this is clavicle. Now, we already discussed there are two types of ligaments are there: conoid part and trapezoid part. Clear? So this ligament is lax in neutral position. This ligament is lax in neutral position. Listen carefully. As the scapula rotates upward, what will happen? This ligament will become taut. This ligament will become taut. So now, further, if the external rotation is occurring, now what will happen? This taut ligament will start rotating the clavicle posteriorly. Do you follow? So clavicle rotation does not occur in the beginning of range of motion. So why clavicular rotation occurs? Clavicle rotation occurs because the coracoclavicular ligament becomes taut. When the scapula, initially the ligament is lax. As the scapula is rotating upward, the ligament will become taut. When ligament is becoming taut, then what happens? Further rotation I will take this diagram again. So initially the ligament is lax. As the scapula is rotating upward, now this ligament has become taut. So when the ligament, now the taut ligament, okay, further external rotation, now what will happen? It will rotate the clavicle posteriorly. Why it is rotating posteriorly? Because you see the ligament attachment is posterior here. Ligament is attached posterior. When this ligament is pulling, in this direction, now the scapula will start rotating in the posterior direction. This is called posterior rotation of the clavicle. And this movement, where it occurs? In sternoclavicular joint. So, posterior rotation of the sternoclavicular joint occurs because the tension in the coracoclavicular ligament starts rotating the clavicle posteriorly. When this will occur? This will occur when the scapula is rotated to its maximum. Upward rotation. When the scapula is rotated maximum, after that the clavicle will start rotate posteriorly. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So in anatomical position, coracoclavicular ligament. Sorry, this is coracoclavicular. I had shown. Yes, both are right. What is costoclavicular and coracoclavicular? Costoclavicular. Costoclavicular is different. I apologize. Previously I told costoclavicular. It is not costo, it is coraco. Coracoclavicular. Okay. In anatomical position, coracoclavicular ligament is flat. At the early phase of the shoulder abduction, the scapula begins to upwardly rotate, stretching the coracoclavicular ligament. Now the ligament is stretched. The inability of this ligament elongate and restricts further upward rotation. Now upward rotation will not occur. Upward rotation of scapula will not occur. When the ligament is taut. Tension with stretched ligaments, now it is transferred to the clavicle. Tension in the stretched ligaments, now it is transferred to the clavicle, and now it starts rotating the clavicle posteriorly. Clear? So this rotation places clavicular ligament closer to the coracoid process, unloading the ligament slightly and permitting to continue final degree of upward rotation. It is explained little bit more detail. Basically what happens? The rotation, scapula will rotate, ligament will taut. Further rotation will not occur in ligament. Clear? So further rotation will be possible only when clavicle is rotating posteriorly. So when this clavicle will rotate posterior, the clavicle will rotate posterior because the tension now it is transmitted to the clavicle. From the ligament, the tension is transmitted to the clavicle. Now the clavicle will start rotating posteriorly and further upward rotation will be possible. Last principle. Humerus naturally rotates. You know, humerus it rotates externally. External rotation of humerus also occurs. Around 25 to 55 degree of external rotation occurs when you are doing shoulder abduction. So these are the principles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Any doubts? So I have shared this slides already with you. Go through all the 6 principles. First is 2:1 ratio. Second is 60 degree is contribution of sternoclavicular and acromioclavicular. Clavicle retracts. Scapula posteriorly tilt and externally rotate. And clavicle posteriorly rotate glenohumeral joint. It rotates externally.